Hello, cannedcream here, CC for short, and today I would like to talk to you about the butterfly effect. Or to be exact, just how many different futures came about from Starlight Glimmer stopping the rainbow? While it would be pretty impossible to guess at how exactly the different ways Starlight's intervention changed the future, we can look at the facts we know and make some educated guesses about some of the bigger factors. For a quick refresher, in Twilight's unaltered timeline, the villains we saw came in this order: Nightmare Moon, Discord, Flim Flam, Chrysalis, Sombra, and then Tirek. It is important to keep in mind as each future only spoke of a single villain, as if the ones that came before and after never happened. So let's go down the list and try to puzzle out how. The episode takes us first to the Crystal War, an interesting place to start considering how far down the list Sombra is from the others. This means that without the Rainboom, all the villains that came before were defeated without the main six. We also know that Applejack will still eventually return home, and Rarity still opened her boutique, even if only for a short while. This means that, in this timeline, as well as in all future ones, certain events that came after the Rainboom in Twilight's world still happened in these futures, though perhaps not quite at the same time. What's interesting to note here is that there is no mention of Luna or Cadence. Because Twilight and the Rainboom seem to have no relation to the meeting and marriage of Cadence and Shining Armor, we can only assume that the wedding still happened, and when Sombra appeared, they were still sent to the Crystal Empire to stop him. And judging by the outcome, we can only guess that once their shields fell, Sombra entered the city and either imprisoned or killed them. As for Luna, this could have happened one of two ways. In the Discord future, we see that Celestia has found a way to reform her sister without the main six. So assuming Celestia did not defeat and banish Nightmare Moon for a second time upon her return, and indeed found a way to bring Luna back, this may mean that she heeded her sister's wish to go to the Crystal Empire and defeat Sombra on her own. And just like Cadence and Shining Armor before her, we can only assume Luna was either captured or killed for her efforts. Not surprising when you see it's taking Celestia and the entirety of Equestria just to hold Sombra and his army back. And judging by Twilight's comment about how large the Crystal Empire's borders have become, it's a war they're losing by inches. From here, we move on to... hold on. What's happening?
From here, we move on to the future of Chrysalis. Now, as I was saying before, for those of you who are too stupid to remember, the meeting and marriage of Shining Armor and Cadence had little to nothing to do with Twilight and the Rainboom. So we have to assume the marriage still happened. Chrysalis and the Changeling still arrived, and only this time, without the main six, Chrysalis took over Canterlot and spread her army across the lands. The fact that she succeeded in this timeline and not in the previous one may suggest that in Sombra's future, Celestia did find a way to force the magnificent Nightmare Moon back into boring old Luna, and together they were able to fend Chrysalis off. In this future, however, the ripple of effects changed things, so Celestia either destroyed or banished Nightmare Moon again, probably by cheating somehow. Whatever the case, this meant she was helpless once Chrysalis used the love generated by Shining Armor for his bride to take down the princess and begin feeding off the other ponies. In this world, it appears as though the advancement of the Everfree Forest, as seen in Princess Twilight Sparkle, still happened. Only in this reality, Zecora did not flee the forest, but used it to her advantage to set up camp for her freedom fighters, which seemed to do well enough of a job for what we can guess to be around 1 to 2 years until Chrysalis found them. And assuming that the Changelings had spread out from the ruins of Canterlot in that time, they've probably fed on enough love to easily overpower a few ponies with sharp sticks. Oh, I do so love it when evil wins. Finally, we come to the future that I liked best. Hold on. What's happening?
Finally, we move on to the future that I liked best, actually, Nightmare Moons. Here we jump back to the very beginning of MLP, right back to Season 1, Episode 1. In this reality, Nightmare Moon overcame her sister and took the throne for herself. And of all the futures we've seen, this one is actually the best. And I don't mean that in a fanboy kind of ranting or as a personal preference. I mean it literally was the best of these possible outcomes. In the future of Sombra, Chrysalis, Discord, Flim and Flam, and the Wastelands, all we see is destruction, either from the world ending or having already ended. But in Nightmare Moons, pony life is still going on. Yes, the eternal night and the advancement of the Everfree Forest have made things dangerous for travelers, but think about this. After years of her rule, no pony appears to be starved or underfed, meaning that without the sun, ponies have still found a way to grow food, likely through magical means. The castle of the two sisters has been restored to its former glory and is well maintained, suggesting that Equestria isn't in any sort of ruin. Heck, the castle is even open for public viewing, and Rarity calls Twilight a tourist, suggesting that ponies regularly make treks to it for tours. So this future probably isn't too terrible if it has a booming tourism industry. Also, Nightmare Moon has assembled a rather loyal guard around herself who, unlike Sombra's, appear to be there of their own free will. Rainbow Dash, the very element of loyalty, has even sworn herself to her service. Good on you, Rainbow. I knew there was a reason I liked you. Anyway, this all does gel with what Nightmare Moon wanted: power, respect, and the admiration of her subjects. Unlike all of the other villains we saw, Nightmare does not want to destroy Equestria or its people. She just wants it under her control. While yes, she is ruling it in a dark and somewhat insane way, but at the same time, she also doesn't come off as being terrible either. So what about the other villains we know should have come after Nightmare? Why are they not in control here? Well, Nightmare Moon would not stand for another princess in Equestria, meaning that Cadence would never rise to power, would never really spend time with Shining Armor, and they likely never married. This means their love did not attract Chrysalis and her army. And Cerberus also likely never escaped from Tartarus, meaning Tirek is still locked away. As for Discord and Sombra, well, judging by the way she thoughtlessly killed a fleeing Timberwolf, it's not impossible to assume that she had Discord destroyed while still in statue form, and invaded and took over the Crystal Empire from Sombra when it re-emerged. The other futures we've already touched upon, and hold on. What's happening? The other futures we've already touched upon, and I won't really go into. Besides, they go by so fast, it's hard to assume much. Whatever the case, Cutie Re-mark gives us an interesting look at just how a few mild changes in the past have insane changes to the future. It's enough to kinda make you think about how different your own present could be if things in the past had gone a little differently, huh? But what about you, dear listener? What do you think caused the various different futures? Whatever your thoughts, please post them down in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching, and as always,
stay pony, my friends.